Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next edition of the Golf Chat Show Live. Just want to say a massive thank you to you all for the support that you've had over the last week. It has been unprecedented, and we've had so many questions, and we've had so many guests on another note. And today we have another guest. We have a guest who is the producer of the Sky Sports Golf podcast, a man who's interviewed some of the top players on the European and on the PGA Tour. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, well, good. Kind of tearing my hair out a little bit at the moment. The self-isolation has got me a bit, but the weather's not too bad actually outside. It's kind of just like staring out the window, kind of wanting me to go out for a round of golf. Unfortunately, can't at the moment.
I know. I saw one of these memes actually on Instagram recently. It says summer rain, winter rain, isolation, sunny, and you're like,
it's so typical. It's absolutely ridiculous. Although I think I managed to get about 3 rounds in before they closed all the courses, and the weather was glorious. So at least it gives the courses a little bit of time to get in shape, I guess, for the months to come. But no greenkeepers out at the moment. It's a bit of an issue. I
know, exactly. And unfortunately, I think some golf clubs, unless guys actually keep supporting their club, they could actually struggle over this period.
Matt, I mean, golf clubs, it's a thing we talk about on the podcast a lot, golf clubs and the welfare of golf clubs. And yeah, no income at the moment for them. It's horrible for them. I mean, I don't know there's not much they can really do, because you can't open the clubhouse and open the bar. You can't do things like that. So I don't really know how they're going to cope when this is all over, if they're going to have any support at all from the government. Nothing's really been mentioned yet. So that's something a little bit concerning, I'm guessing, for a lot of clubs up and down the country.
Definitely. I mean, there's golf clubs near me who are literally small members clubs, and they rely quite a lot on external functions, i.e. weddings, function nights, and they pretty much keep the club alive.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. You know, that's big money for golf clubs. And, you know, I've got a few friends who were going to be getting married, and some of them have cancelled it for like 2 years' time.
2 years?
So,
geez.
Yeah, they've just kind of either because other people have booked it up until then, or just to be doubly sure that they're going to get it, because we don't know how long this is going to go on for. I mean, we're hoping it's only going to be a couple of months, something like that maybe. But yeah, that's ridiculous. And you got to remember as well, a lot of golf clubs rely on their, elderly members as well, and unfortunately Corona's hitting the over 70s a lot more, and they see golf clubs as somewhere that they can socialize and play golf every day. And I hope not, but I just hope the numbers don't dwindle, because again that's gonna make golf clubs suffer, and it's a horrible thing, all of this at the moment. There's no real positive news to come out of all of it at the moment.
No. And on our first question, the first thing I wanted to bring up today is the Olympics of today have literally just been postponed.
I know. I mean, for me, they had absolutely no choice. I mean, I remember when all this Corona chat started, I was thinking about all these things that are going to be stopped, and I'd never even thought about the Olympics until someone told me, and I thought, well, that has to be postponed like now. And I was thinking that 3 weeks ago, so I'm surprised it took them this long to do it. I think it's July 2021 is maybe when they're going to do it again. I mean, even then, you've got to think, okay, I mean, you'd hope Corona's done by then, but they had absolutely no choices but to postpone it for the time being. With all the people coming in from different countries, it was almost impossible for them to do anything, and I know golf, both the men's and the women's competition was something that a lot more golfers were going to be doing this time after Justin Rose won it.
Yeah.
And was it Inbee Park? I think it was Inbee Park, wasn't it?
I think it was.
She said it was one of the best moments of her career. And I think Justin did as well. He said his gold medal is so valuable to him that it was, golf this time was going to be, I think, an even bigger event. And I know the course in Tokyo was very, very good from some reports I heard. But yeah, they had no choice but to cancel it. There's not much else they could have done, and I think they've just got to suck it and see it for the time being, to see what's going to happen in the future.
I totally agree. I just don't get how. I think at one point I saw one of the gentlemen representing the Olympics. He was like, "No, we will be going ahead. Everything will be going." Everybody else is like, every other sporting event across the world has been cancelled. How can you not cancel yours?
I know. I mean, I'm guessing. I mean, the thing with the Olympics, they're starting to work on the next Olympics even before one started. So they've obviously it's taken years of preparation. This and for something like a virus, which is obviously going to stop everything, they're going to be annoyed by it, but that they had to do it. So they're going to be obviously disappointed, the organisers, and they wanted so much to do it, not just for them, but I'm going to say the rest of the world as well, and all the athletes who are prepared for this. But I've seen athletes, Karina Johnson-Thompson, she said, I've prepared, the last 4 years for this, but what's another year if to keep, the rest of the world safe? So I think that's the right mindset for everyone to take into this, that, there's a bigger picture here than just, a 2-3 weeks of sport.
I totally agree. So on that note, we know the European Tour and the PGA Tour events are being postponed. And I think one person I spoke to the week that they're potentially looking to start in Ireland, which is April time. But do you really see it actually going ahead that soon, or can you see it being literally going to potentially next year when the European Tour gets going again?
Yeah, I mean, they're in such, just administrative stuff. It's so hard for the European Tour to know what to do. Yeah, Irish Open at the end of May, I think, was when they're planning to do the next event. But you look at things now, and that's 2 months away. I'm not sure I can see that going ahead. It's very hard to see it going ahead. For me, thinking about it, I'd almost say the Open would be the next thing on the calendar, and that's mid-July. It's hard for everyone at the moment. It's hard for the people running the European Tour. It's hard for the players and caddies as well. And then you got things like Q School. What happens to people on the Challenge Tour and who were meant to be going to Q School? They're going to have to wait another year, which is obviously frustrating for them. But in the PGA Tour, again, I think they might be cancelled. I know they're cancelling through to the Byron Nelson. I think Canadian Open is possibly the next one on the agenda, but I can't see that going ahead. And then obviously you've got all the majors going to be pushed back as well. So it's very hard to know what to do. They have to play it, safe than sorry with it, obviously there's a lot of money, there's a lot of sponsors involved in these tournaments, and they've got half an hour tournament still going ahead. But I think even they'll admit that, things can't go ahead in the current situation it's in, or even 2 months down the line, even when it's worn down a bit, because we just don't know how long this is going to go on for. And obviously, again, I'm going to guess the Irish Open, the course won't have been maintained in the last couple of the weeks, and it's not going to be the next month. Not just the Irish Open, but other ones going ahead. And they made in Denmark at Masters, that's been cancelled. But it's now you've got to work out, okay, where are all these tournaments going to be fitted in, if at all, or are they just going to say, right, we're going to have the 2020 season as it has been, and then do they do a race? Do they do a DP World Series at the end? I don't know really what's going to happen. It's a very, very odd place to be in at the moment, and they're just going to have to see what happens. I don't see Irish Open going ahead at the end of May. I just don't see it's 8 weeks away, and we're being told to maybe self-isolate. There's some of them are saying 6 months.
Yeah.
So I don't see 2 months happening. It's very weird to know what's going on, not just in golf, but in all sport as well. I know the Premier League and football are trying to fit things in, but it's very, very hard. Could they do golf tournaments with no spectators? Is a possibility. I know they were thinking about doing that with the players before it got cancelled, but that's a possibility. But is it worth the risk at the end of the day? It's very hard to know, what they're going to do.
The thing that I worry about, obviously you guys at the top, your likes of Justin Rose, Rory McIlroy, these guys have got money set for life, and it wouldn't matter if they didn't play for the rest of their lives. But it's you guys who have potentially just got their Challenge Tour card or just secured their European Tour card, got some sponsorship, they're hungry to actually play, not got the money actually behind them to sit back and relax and sort of build a life for themselves away from golf. They're the guys who I'm thinking, this is a year out of their career where this could have been their purple patch, where they get the card on Challenge Tour, European Tour, and it really is a stepping stone onto better things.
Yeah, Challenge Tour especially, there's been some really good players who have come out of that. So Jordan Smith was very good. Taco Pulkkinen's a very good player, and then you've got Adrian House as well. Those guys came out and did very well on tour immediately. But yeah, as you said, there's going to be guys who possibly got their card in red hot form and thinking, right, I'm possibly ready to win, and then all of this has kind of just put an absolute downer on them. Now I'm going to assume that the European Tour or any tour aren't going to say, right, you haven't earned enough money in this many events before the Corona, you're going back down to the Challenge Tour. I'm sure it'll defer to the next season. I'm always positive they've got to do that. It's not fair otherwise. It's not the golfers' fault that this has happened. So I'm sure that's going to happen, and that the guys on the Challenge Tour, Euro Pro, they're going to have to stay on those tours and wait another year. And it is frustrating for all of them, But I guess, in theory, it gives them another year to work on their game. And improve a little bit more. But as you said, the guys who are in red hot form, they're going to be so frustrated that, something like this has come ahead. But it's, for all tours, Sunshine Tours, your Asian Tours and things like that, they're all affected. And it's just frustrating. I think frustration is the word.
Yeah.
That all players and sponsors and golf clubs and everyone involved in the sport is probably feeling right now. But and as you said as well, the guys who, as you said, Rose and McIlroy, they're okay, financially and trophies and stuff like that. But the smaller guys who, are relying on these tournaments for money and stuff like that, they're in a tough spot at the moment, as well as a lot of people. I mean, basically, golf is a freelancer, really, apart from the sponsors helping out, caddies as well. Caddies are freelancers. They get paid as and when. And I know a few players are possibly playing their caddies up front for the months to come, so they're seen okay. But others as well, they're going to be struggling, and it's really difficult. And I do really feel sorry for some of them as well.
Yeah, I do. Just on that note of Rory, world number one, he was probably quite looking forward to going to the Masters this year, trying to fulfill that career Grand Slam, and then the door just being shut in his face. Because I think he looked, I know in previous years, for example, Irish Open last year, it looked like the crowd got all over him, and the situation got a little bit too much for him. Whereas I think this year, I don't know, I just got a feeling he looked a lot more calmer out on the golf course, and I really fancied him to potentially get over the line, or definitely have a very good chance of getting over the line at the Masters this year, and then to be. Obviously, the situation is much bigger than Rory winning the Masters, but I feel sorry for him getting to world number one and then that happening.
Yeah, I think you're not alone in people thinking that Rory was going to win the Masters this year. His form was out of this world. It was ridiculous. People could pick that. What annoys me is people saying, "Oh, he can't get over the line. He can't get over the line." You try and do that many top fives in a row, top tens in a season. It's nearly impossible. So it's quite ridiculous what he's been doing. As you said, he's in absolutely red hot form. There is a tiny part of me that keeps thinking Rory is scarred by his history at Augusta. I mean, if you think about it, the course is set up perfectly for him. His little draw around most of the holes is perfect for him. His iron play is exemplary. He's improved his wedge play so much over the last 12 months as well. His only downfall, you actually look at his putting stats, he actually is so high up in each putting stat from like 3 footing in, 5 footing in. But then from that 7 foot to 10 foot range, he's actually very low. So that's his downfall, if anything. 10 foot and over, I think he's at 61%, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But I always say at Augusta, you do not need to be a good putter to win round Augusta at all. You look at people who have won before, Bubba Watson, Adam Scott. Both of them historically are not good putters.
Even Garcia, historically, until he went to the claw grip, historically he's not been a good putter.
Exactly, absolutely, yeah. Lee West was done very well around Augusta, and he's not been a good putter. I think he's improved a hell of a lot. But there's a lot, and so that's why Rory has got a major, major chance. And as you say, with the form he's in, he must have been licking his lips, quietly licking his lips. So he'd be frustrated as well. But as you said, the game and the world is bigger than him. I don't think he'll worry though, because I don't think Rory's someone who's going to lose form completely.
No, and
it's just going to fall. I think he'll be quite chilled out about it, and he'll just, once this is all over, he'll go back out to I'm sure he's practicing somewhere. I'm sure he's probably got a 400-yard range in his back garden.
Just like I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all have. Yeah, I especially have here in West London, in Shepherd's Bush. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be absolutely fine. I don't think. Yeah, he's not someone whose temperament or anything like that is gonna be lost in all of this. I think he'll be absolutely fine. There'll be some players who I think the break will probably be good for, because some haven't been, good. Koepka has not really been playing that well, and I think this break going to probably be very, very good for him to sort out his game. But I do think Rory said before, he's not worried about other people. He's just worried about himself. And look, he's going to be, he'll be the favourite for Augusta. Absolutely no problem at all. You go to the bookmakers now, he will be the favourite. I've not looked, but he'll definitely be the favourite. But yeah, he's got an amazing chance, and not just in the Masters, in everything as well. I think the Open as well, he's got a great chance. He was so disappointed last year at Portrush. He really wanted to. I mean, I'm not making the cut. I know he was so disappointed. He'll want to make amends this year. So yeah, Augusta and all the majors this year, he's going to be a big threat.
So, talking about good golfers, we spoke about Rory, but if you had to pick a European Tour player, who would be your best golfer over the last 4 years? So who's not necessarily been the most consistent, but who has shot out for you in terms of come out from nowhere to being, right, okay, this guy could actually be a star of the future?
Oh, star of the future. Okay. I mean, there's a lot that have been around for a while that over the last few years have been brilliant. So your Lee Westwoods, your Sergio's, obviously Rory as well. I mean, Lee Westwood playing more on the European Tour, but the other two are playing PGA Tour. But you got the likes of Tyrrell Hatton, who he's been on the podcast a lot. I know Tyrrell, and I think he's such a fantastic golfer. He's an all-round good game. Obviously, his temperament is up and down now and again, but he's won multiple times. And then when he won the PGA Tour a few weeks ago, before all this kicked off, that was an unbelievable achievement for him. He's only going to go up and up. I mean, the French guy, Victor Perez, has really impressed me last 12 months. I kind of knew a little bit about him before he won the Upper Dunhill up there in Scotland, but he looks a very, very good player to me. I think he's got a very good chance of making the Ryder Cup team. He's up there in the points list at the moment. He's a very, very solid player. I think he grew up in Dundee, I think. Because I think his girlfriend is probably from there. I apologise to Victor if he's listening. I'm getting this wrong, but he's a very, very good player. And then you've obviously got again, not European Tour, but Victor Hovland looks like he's going to take the world by storm. He's just all round. Apart from his chipping, even though he's admitted his chipping is pretty dreadful, he is just an insane player, that boy, and he is going to be a multi-major winner as well. I mean, there's a few players I've kept my eye on. One I really do like is the Australian Minwoo Lee. I think he leads a tour in driving distance. He hits it such a long way, and he looks an extremely good player to me. He won. I think he won in Australia earlier in the year. Again, I might be wrong in that, but he looks a very, very good player to me. I think he's going to be playing the European Tour, I think, for a few years. It'll be interesting to see if he progresses eventually to the PGA Tour. But he's got a very, very good swing, powerful swing, and a good putter as well, Minwoo Lee. He'd be one I look out for possibly to win a few more titles in the future, I reckon.
What do you think about Erik Van Rooyen? Only reason I ask is because I used to caddy on Challenge Tour and European Tour. We played with him. And I remember he was in the same group, and I've never seen someone play. There's this par 5, dog leg left in Bilbao, and you did it over the corner, and it was like you needed a bazooka to put it on the green. And I went to Tom, who was caddying for at the time. Oh no, you can never reach here. It's a layup, and he just gets this 3-wood out, and I'm just there like jaws hit the floor, balls landed about 10 foot from the flag, and I thought this guy's got some game. And then last year he was up there in quite a few tournaments. Do you think he could be potentially one to come out the woodwork and be another part of those strong South Africans?
Yeah, I've people who listen to the podcast know I big up Erik Van Rooyen a lot. I've seen him play a lot of times. He has got an amazing swing. I just love watching him swing the golf club. I think it was Irish Open. He had such a good chance in Irish Open. I thought he could have won, but he's been contending a lot. And then played really well in Mexico. I was so impressed with him in Mexico. That he hits it a long way, and that course was made for him, I thought. But he's again very good all-round game. He's played really well in Abu Dhabi as well in January. I think he got like a top 15 in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, he just can shoot really low rounds, and I'm not quite sure what it is why he hasn't got over the line more. He's got that one European Tour win. I think it's maybe a bit of self-confidence for Erik. He gets himself in so many good positions, and maybe, I don't know, the self-belief isn't quite there. But I just think he's got such a fantastic. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to play European Tour. I think he's going to progress eventually to PGA Tour because he's got the game to play in America. He just has.
Yeah.
And the other thing, he's a really nice guy. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and I see him walking the course with his caddy and stuff like that. And he's just a good guy. And I don't know if you've seen recently. Boy, can he play the guitar?
I know. I've seen that. I'm going to go on to that next.
I mean, oh my God, he should start a band. I think Ryan Fox is really good on the drums as well. They just need a singer and some kind of bass guitarist, and they'll be good.
It would be a singer if you're making the European Tour band. He was a singer.
The singer, that is a very good point. I don't know. There must be some sneaky good singers, I reckon. A few of them who fancy it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who, but there'll be some that fancy it, I reckon. I think there'll be a queue for the lead singer. Everyone always knows the lead singer. No one really knows the drummer or the bass guitarist, but I'm sure there'll be a few queuing up for that. You never know. All this Corona stuff, there might be some kind of Skype European Tour band going on. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, I'm sure Erik will definitely be head of the band.
I do one person who I'm thinking, I don't know why, Robert Rock, he always seems to look good with his flat cap, a bit like a Ronan Keating off the golf course.
Absolutely, the poster boy, Robert Rock, absolutely, with his ridiculously good looks and good hair as well. He'd never wear anything to cover that head, I don't think. He'd be, he has a good shout actually, I reckon.
So my next question for you has come live from YouTube.
Cool.
Doing the Sky Sports podcast, what is the best thing about it?
What's the best thing about it? Oh boy, how long have we got? Honestly, it's a lot of hard work every week. You know, once I've done one, and because I do all the editing and everything for it, I'm almost planning for the one a week ahead. So that's hard. But I just really enjoy meeting different people, hearing their views, and then just having some fun as well. Because sometimes golf and life can sometimes just be a bit serious, and someone like me who I've loved golf for however long now, 25 years, and just hearing stories and anecdotes and tips from golfers who have been there, done it, got the t-shirt, I really enjoy. I shouldn't be, but I'm a fan listening to them as much as being the presenter of it as well. I should be professional, but I just really enjoy, and I'm captivated by their stories. People like Jamie Spence comes on, or Nick Doherty. Nick Doherty won multiple times the European Tour, and just hearing their stories and how they fell from grace maybe slightly. I know with Nick, his was an unbelievable story. It's just really interesting, and it's fun. It's fun as well. I listened to a lot of podcasts before I started our one, a lot of football ones, and I just love hearing stories and things that have happened during the week, and and I like to do stuff that I know listeners can relate to as well. I don't want it to all be solely about professional golf. As I said, about golf clubs and how slow play as well, a topic that every golfer talks about. Just something everyone can relate to as well, to get people involved as well, because that's the main thing, is to get listeners involved the whole time. Because without listeners and viewers, now for the studio podcast, the podcast is nothing. So I'm always grateful for the listeners sending in questions, as I'm sure you are, for things like this. It's a big part of it, and I just hope that we're bringing some fun and some enjoyment to their lives, especially at this time as well, when everyone's kind of stuck at home and they need a bit of something a bit more lighthearted to listen to, and stories to listen to. I'm hoping things like podcasts, just cheer them up a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the thing that I'm dying to ask you is, interviewing all these top players, you must have over the years have had some tips that you could share with the listeners here. Most people that listen to this channel are club golfers. So what's been your best tip, and from what player?
It's the funny thing is, off mic, I'm always asking the players that come on for little tips to help me. I'm trying to think now. I've been doing so many. I tell you, someone I mentioned a minute ago, and I love him. It's Jamie Spence. Jamie Spence won a couple of times on the European Tour. He did the pilot for the podcast and did the very first episode as well. So I owe Jamie Spence a lot. He is, what he doesn't know about short game, he could write on the side of a match. He is an incredible short game coach. And I was struggling about maybe 8-9 months ago. I tried for 9. I'm not the greatest golfer, but I'm not the worst golfer as well. And I was very, very close to having the yips chipping. I had no confidence. I didn't know what I was doing, everything like that. And I remember we were at the Women's British Open, and we were in the short game area there at Woburn, which if anyone has seen before, the Woburn short game area is something of dreams.
Oh my God. It's so good, isn't it?
It's amazing. There's like multiple greens, multiple slopes. It's in a tree-lined little area. It's unbelievable. Anyway, we were in there waiting to interview a player, and I told him a couple of days before. I said, "Look, I'm really struggling with my short game." And so we're on the break. He goes, "Right." He went and got a wedge. He goes, "Show me what you're doing." And within 10 seconds, he goes, "Right, I can see what you're doing wrong." And I basically had too much weight on my right foot. So I kind of leaning back and everything would be fatting. And I was obviously trying to flip it to try and get the club to meet the ball because all my weight was on my right foot. So he was basically telling me to really exaggerate everything and put like 90% of my weight on my left foot. And I was almost falling over. And I said, "Well, this is ridiculous, Jamie." He said it won't be. You'll see. And so he said, "Right, just try a few chips." And I was hitting the ball every time. And basically, I was just bringing all my weight forward so that my point of entry was basically after the ball. So it guaranteed me hitting the ball first. And I've no joke, I do that every time now. If I think I'm over chips on, I think I'm slightly on my right foot, I'll exaggerate it loads and I'll put nearly all my weight on my left foot. So it's hard because you don't want to lean your knees forward and keep your shoulders back, which some people do. You kind of want to keep your knees and your shoulders and your whole body kind of forward. So I'd kind of say that, I think. I mean, you probably know more than me, but for me, I know Padraig Harrington is a big advocate of that. Bunker play, short game. He almost doesn't use his right foot. He almost has it off the ground. So he's just got his weight on his left foot. And for people out there, you can try it at home. At the moment,
exactly.
if people have got carpet and no windows to break, just try it. Honestly, just try it. Just little short shots and have all your weight. Try all your weight in your left foot and see what it's like, and just see and just try a few shots, and you'll notice that the point of entry will be after the ball. So you'll hit the ball first, and you won't hit the ground first. And then you can go from there, talking about using the bounce of the club and things like that. Just use that to start with, and I noticed straight away that my short game was a lot better. And then from there, your confidence grows. Yeah. That's a massive thing, I think, with short games. I think it's more than 70% is in your head and confidence with short game. And once you got that, then you can bring a few more things into it as well. But start simple with that, and I think people hopefully will improve a lot more.
Love that. That's so good, and the fact that he spent the time with you to go and take your side and do that it's really, really good story. You were saying about listening to their story. That's a fantastic story you just told yourself. Apart from the fact that I might be getting some invoices for new windows and carpet now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm sure there's been a few broken windows, a few glasses of wine have been spilled on carpets. I'm sure that's happened over the last few weeks.
So the next question comes from Instagram. And I've listened to your podcast, and you always speak about, and you spoke about it with Matt Fitzpatrick in the last one that you put up about slow play. And what do you think has to happen with slow play? Do we have to change the game of golf? I mean, I'm a purist. I would hate for the game of golf, especially at tour level, to not be over 4 rounds like it traditionally has. I would hate that. But do you think it has to change to actually step into like its 2020 version, like cricket have done, to make sure the masses want to come and watch it? Because for me, a lot of people would go and watch 2020 cricket that don't necessarily like cricket, but we don't actually have a format of golf that has that at the moment, in my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, cricket has changed. I'm a big cricket fan. I've played it for like 25 years. I still try and play when I can in the summer. But I mean, that's changed the game, inherently. I mean, it's hard to see Test cricket. I mean, in 5 years, I don't know what Test cricket is going to be. I love watching Test cricket. People who don't like Test cricket, I don't know. I don't get it sometimes because, as you said, like 4 rounds of golf, at the Masters, and that is for the purist. But I mean, I could probably talk about this for half an hour if you got about slow play. But look, I love 4 rounds of golf as well. 72 holes, is the absolute purest form, and I think you speak to professional golfers, and I think 99% of them will say that as well. That's what they want to play. I don't think there's anything wrong with having the odd tournament like the Golf Sixes. Yeah. You've got the Super Six in Perth, which I think is a really good format. I really like that format where they play, I think it's 36 holes and there's a cut. They play another 18 holes and then it goes into match play. I think that's a really good format. They can tweak it really slightly, and I really like that format. I'm surprised no one else has taken that format on. Golf Sixes is a really good idea. 6 holes, is it long enough? I don't know. I don't think you need to change the game of golf. What I think you need to change, and I think Matt said it before, is players just being quicker, and also the authorities doing something.
Yeah.
He said the European Tour now have got a lot better, and they're really hot on players speeding up. But the PJ Tour, they're just still so lackluster in it. And Matt didn't name him, but called someone out. That happened at the Open, and the referee, I think, was a PJ Tour referee, was just oblivious to it. It's I don't know what it is in America. Why, if they're under pressure from other people, I don't know what it is, but it's very odd that they're not doing anything about it there. And you know what? Okay, I think, I can't remember when it was, at the end of last year or start of this year, they put some ideas. Well, I don't think ideas ahead. I think they're rules now. How to fine players, but it was very long-winded and not quite to the point. I think what European Tour are doing, they're doing you get a warning. After that, you get a fine, and within the tournament, and that's it. That's crystal clear. And I think there's been a few fines already since this has happened. But but the problem is with doing that is that, is it shot penalties, not a fine? It might be a fine and a shot penalty. The problem with just fining them is the top players have got enough money. It doesn't. If you want to fine them £1 million. Then they'll speed up. Yeah. Don't fine them $5,000. They can find $5,000 at the back of their sofa. So that's not going to do it. Do it with shot penalties. Give them like a 3-shot penalty if they're slow play, or dock and world ranking points, something like that. Something that's really going to hit them hard and not in the wallet, because they've got bottomless wallets. That's the thing. But that might be easier said than done as well. I'm sure there's a lot of people who, maybe TV companies as well, who don't want to see that happen. But because the thing is, though, that what people don't see when they're watching TV, and I know from working in the TV trucks, is that directors and producers can cut to different cameras at times when you don't see the players lining up the shot, picking the club, talking to their caddy, stuff like that. They can go to another shot in the meantime, and then come back to that, and it looks like they've been quick. Whereas they haven't. They've taken 2 minutes over a shot. So it's hard to know what to do. The European Tour, they're at the forefront of a lot of things. Slow play being one of them. And for me, dock a player 2 shots, dock a player 3 shots. I think Bitsy said that as well on the podcast. They've got to do something where it's going to hurt the player, and not just a few quid, a few euros, a few dollars here and there. That a player will say, "Oh, it's fine. I don't mind the fine." They'll take that. That's the problem. They'll take the fine, but you dock them 3 shots, they're going to think otherwise.
Do you think sometimes it depends on what player it is? Like, say if it's a high-profile player, do you think a referee, just speculating here, maybe more PGA Tour than European Tour, are reluctant to potentially give him a fine or her a fine, depending on who it is?
Absolutely. And listeners to the podcast, if they go back to I think it was the Arnold Palmer Invitational 2 years ago, we had Tyrrell Hatton on, and he told about an incident that happened in Mexico. He was in the last group with him, Shabanka Sharma, and Phil Mickelson. And Tyrrell said that the ref came over, basically, I think he may have given the group a warning, and then he came over and he went, "Phil, you're exempt. Tyrrell, Shabanka, you're on the clock." Now, Tyrrell was kind of put out by this, and I can see why. He thought because it was Phil was being allowed to, not be on the clock. I don't know if that was the case. I think referees apparently are allowed to do that. They're allowed to, if they think certain players are being slow, they can single them out. I don't know if that was the case there. I'd hope not. I really hope not. And I hope there's not favoritism. It's basically favoritism. It is what it would be, and I really hope that that's not the case. I'm hoping referees just see every player for who they are. And it doesn't matter if you're Tiger Woods or number 999 in the world, you'll get treated the same. I hope that's not the case, because that would just tarnish the game slightly, I think. And people who are watching, they're gonna think, well, that's not fair. But let's hope that's not the case anyway.
Yeah, I do too. So moving on to our last 2 questions. Rory's being kind of a big person against this. The new Premier League of Golf. What do you think of it? What does Sky Sports think of it? What is your opinion on it?
Well, I'm going to go with my opinion on it. I know there's a lot of differing opinions with our presenters and commentators at Sky. Look, I mean, talk of it isn't going to go away. It was, I was in Mexico, and it was a big topic in Mexico. Rory came out in the press conference, I think it was on Wednesday, and he said basically, "I'm out." I mean, it relies on a lot of things in Premier League golf to go ahead. I mean, firstly, it relies on big players playing in it. And I think Koepka said no, and I think Rory said no. And you kind of think you'd need Tiger in that as well. Tiger's not said anything at the moment. And if those two are out and Tiger's out, are people going to want to watch it? You're going to have 40 or so players playing in it. Are they going to want to watch the same 40 players week in, week out? No. For me, I like, in any sport, in football, in golf, in cricket, I love stories. I love stories in golf, maybe where there's an underdog that comes through and, when so like a CT Pan who won last year, Keith Mitchell who won the Honda, Nate Lashley who won Rocket Mortgage. It was an amazing story last year in Detroit. I loved that. It was one of my favourite stories last year. But if you have 40 players that play in these 18 tournaments, you're not going to really have stories.
No.
So they're the 40 in theory best players in the world. You don't have a great story each week. Have so-and-so wins this week and so-and-so wins this week. It's like, oh, great. They, brilliant. They've won $2 million this week. It doesn't fill me with the passion that I love of sport. I love an underdog. I love a great story. Someone coming from behind, whatever. It's absolutely brilliant. Like an Erik Van Rooyen in Mexico. You wouldn't get that in the Premier Golf League, basically. You just wouldn't get that. And the other thing as well is, it's weird. I think it would take a lot of work to get this off the ground. It seems to me that they think they could just start it now or in a few months' time, yet we're ready to go. I don't think it works like that. I'm sure people from tours will be able to tell you a lot more than I do. But I don't think just because there is so much money behind it, obviously where the money's coming from is another case altogether. But I just don't think it can work like that. You obviously got to speak with all the tours. They've got to speak with all the tours to work it all out. You've got to speak with the TV companies as well. What golf courses do you play? And then, let's say you don't do so as a player. You don't do so well in the Premier Golf League. Do you get demoted to the PGA Tour? Is the PGA Tour like a championship version of the Premier Golf League? There's so many internal cogs that have got to be working at the same time for this to work. I think Andy Gardner, who's one of the guys behind it, the director of Barclays Capital, he went on the a podcast with Rick Shields, trying to explain it all, and it was like a 2-hour podcast. There's a lot to talk about with it, and it's hard for me to see it going ahead, really, because of the players not getting involved. And what happens to the smaller tours as well, like your Sunshine Tours and your Asian Tours and your Challenge Tours? Do sponsors now not even think about them? Do all those tours lose money? Do they lose money from TV companies and stuff like that? It's just, there's so many things to think about with this. I personally don't see it going ahead. I just, for one, I just don't see all the players signing up. Okay, let's say 5 out of the world's top 20 want to do it. Then you're trying to find 35 other players who are inside maybe the world's top 100. Do you want to see Tanehara playing? Or do you want to see Abraham Answer playing? I love Abraham Answer, by the way. I think he's a great player. But does that attract an audience to TV to see those guys? Maybe not. Whereas your likes of your Rory, your Koepkas, your Tigers, they're the big hitters. They're the guys you want to see. And if they're not involved, I just do not see it going ahead.
No, the thing you touched on it there is I worry about what happens. Web.com is, for me, a lot of a stronger option than the Challenge Tour. There's a lot more money on it. But I worry about what happens to the Challenge Tour, Web.com, or even the likes of Europro. We've got, for me, in Europe, we've got kind of a great system. If you want to turn pro, you've got a great place where you can learn your trade. Now, the Europro Tour relies a lot on the TV rights, relies a lot on that to get the money for sponsorship and then for the purse for the week. So if you don't have that and people aren't watching that, how do we actually filter through good players to actually then, in 20 years' time, when all these guys in this Premier League of golf aren't quite as good as they were and they're sort of dwindling off into the Champions Tour, what happens then? We don't actually have a funnel to creating talent.
I know, absolutely. I completely agree. What happens at the moment works. It's proven to work. Going from Europro to Challenge Tour to the European Tour and then beyond, it's proven to work. Likes of Beef started on Europro Tour.
Yeah.
There was Johnny Morgan, who eventually went and played on the PGA Tour. He was Europro as well. There's a lot of players who are, yeah, exactly. there's loads of players who come through that system, and then Challenge Tour as well. I mean, there's been Jackson Bra as well came through Challenge Tour. He's a very, very good player. I really like the look of him, and he's doing well on the European Tour as well. And this season as well, you got Toby Tree on Challenge Tour. He's playing very good golf as well. There's a Wilco Nieberger as well, who's a South African. I like the look of him as well. But it works. You said those tours and the system works at the moment, and you do worry that if all this money goes into Premier Golf League and it's all sunk into this one thing, then everyone else is everything's demoted. It's a bit like football, where your League Two clubs are really, really struggling because all the money in the Premier League, which I'm a Spurs fan, but I can't stand the fact there's all this money top heavy in the Premier League and others suffer as well. That's not what football or whatever sport, that's not what it's about. And I really, it's a big reason for me why I kind of can't see it working, because what happens to these other tours? They're just gonna, they might just dwindle out, and then there's gonna be other golfers who then got nowhere to go.
I totally agree. I just think I'm just happy that Rory and Brooks haven't gone, okay, we'll get behind it, because I think if you went to some other players, potentially money's going to talk, and then we're going to go for this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm Rory. I love Rory because he's outspoken and he says what he's thinking, and he was the first one to come out and say, you know what, it's not for me. So good on him, and I think there's going to be a lot of players that are going to follow suit. I'm sure there's been chats with players from guys who are hoping to set up this Premier Golf League as to what to do, but I just don't see a lot of the players. Can you imagine? Let's say Tiger, he is still on the PGA Tour wins. He's one away from the record. Is he going to go to the Premier Golf League and then never play the PGA Tour again, and he'll never beat that record? He's never going to do that. Tiger respects, and I think a lot of players, they respect history, golfing history, so much that I don't think they do. Obviously, the times move. A lot of things, people move with the time. But I think there's a lot of respect for history, and I think a lot of respect for what the PGA Tour and the European Tour and all the tours have done for golfers. And I don't think they just pack up and leave just for more money. I just, money's lovely, it's great. But I think, trophies and history is what a lot of players admire, and a Tiger especially. Can you imagine just turning his back on the PGA Tour and everything like that? I just don't see it.
Can't see it.
No, I can't see it happening. Especially with Tiger, I just don't. He's the first player who came to mind and said, "Well, he's never going to do it." So, and you know what? A lot of these players don't need the money as well. They don't need the money.
No.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But there is part of me that hopes it doesn't get off the ground.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, on to our final question. This is something that I've asked everybody that's come on the show. It's about fantasy golfer. So if you had to pick, there's 4 aspects: a driving swing of somebody, an iron swing, short game, so it'd be chipping, and then a putting stroke of a player to make up your fantasy golfer. Who are you going for?
Oh, blimey! Now, are we just going for the aesthetics of the swing, or are we going for the results and stats?
You know what? I base mine on a bit of both.
Okay, that's a good shout. All right. So, I mean, I'm going to guess 95% of people are going to say Rory for driving. I mean, he is insane. I stood behind him in Mexico on the driving range, and it's just something to behold. It goes off like a rocket launcher, and it's got this tiny draw on it. And, I mean, I lost the ball halfway. I didn't know where it was. He's an unbelievable driver of the ball. I mean, for me, I love my golfing history. And if you go back, I can remember, the first kind of things I remember about golf growing up, I can remember Greg Norman just being the most unbelievable driver of the ball. I mean, with the tiny heads as well of the drivers. He was an incredible driver of the ball, just so straight as well. And I think a lot of people consider him one of the best drivers of all time. There's a lot. I mean, Lee Westwood as well. Lee Westwood does not get the credit he deserves for what he's like off the tee. He's got to be, in the current golfers in the world, he has to be one of the best drivers in the world. He just plays this tiny little fade all the time, and he is so accurate with it. He's unbelievable. He's won 43, 44 times around the world, and it's a big part of this because he's such a great driver. So I'd have a mix of those 3. I can't probably single one out, unfortunately. So, and then iron play. I mean, boy, oh God, how long we got? I tell you, I tell you, I really admire for iron play is Patrick Reed.
Yeah,
the control. I don't think he quite gets the credit he deserves at golf. I know there's a lot of people who don't like him for other reasons, but you know what? As a golfer, he is in. I mean, the putting. I mean, we're going to come on to putting in a minute. He'd be close to putting to me, but his iron play, he is so controlled a lot of the time with his irons, especially from like 150, 140 in. He's incredibly good. He's good. Tommy Fleetwood as well. I mean, just that guy does not have a weakness in his game. It's funny when I'm lucky enough to be at tournaments and go to the range, I go and watch certain people, and you speak to professional golfers, they'll go and watch certain people. There's two people who, when you go to the range, it's a completely different noise off the club face. One's Rory and one's Tommy Fleetwood. So Fleetwood with his irons, you go there and you listen, and it's just a different sound. It's the compression of the ball into the club and into the ground. It's just like, I can't describe it, but you don't watch and you hear and you think, oh my God, that's amazing sound. I think people listening, when they hit a really good iron, like a really good 7-iron, it's like that all the time with Tommy. It's just every shot. It's really good. So I think those two to me would be that. Now, short game, I mean, there's so many I admire. I mean, one comes straight to mind is Shane Lowry. Yeah. That guy is a magician. He's an absolute magician of any service, of any lie. He makes the game look so easy. I remember I was walking around. I can't remember. I was doing a tiny podcast. I followed him for a couple of holes. And I can't remember which course it was, but he played this par 3. And he was just around the green. The greens were rock hard. And he was playing these downhill chips off not the best lie. And he was getting them to check and stop off it was a downhill slope on this rock hard green. I don't know how he was doing it. It's unbelievable. And then the other guy I would say, who I think a lot of people who follow European Tour, is Brett Rumford. If people haven't seen Brett Rumford, he's on Instagram, everyone. If you're on Instagram, you don't follow Brett Rumford, go follow Brett Rumford. He is an unbelievable short game player. I've seen some shots he's played on European Tour events, which I mouth open, and I'm thinking, how on earth have you done that? He is so good. He can, he uses the bounce so well. He's got so many different shots, but he keeps it simple. That's the thing with Brett Rumford. He keeps it simple. He's had a bad injury, I think, recently, Brett Rumford, and he's only just coming back from it. But follow Brett Rumford on Instagram. He's incredible. He'd be up there for me. And then putting. Oh, I mean, there's loads. I mentioned Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed's an insane putter, especially from like 6 foot and in. He's just like holes so many. I'd love to see the percentage of holes made 6 foot for Patrick Reed. But I mean, you have to go Tiger as well. Yeah. I've forgotten about Tiger Woods.
You've not mentioned him yet.
I've not even mentioned him. God, that's pathetic of me. I went Patrick Reed in front of Tiger Woods on end play. I can't believe I've just done that. I might backtrack and go for Tiger Woods. But Tiger Woods, I mean, especially in his pomp, when he was putting again, I mean, he would never miss from 3 and 4 foot in.
No,
he just didn't miss. I mean, there's so many infamous putts. I mean, the one in the 2008 US Open to get in the playoff with Rocco Mediate. Oh. There's so many people who say
I can picture it now.
It's one of my favourite putts ever. There's just so many people who said that putt. So many people tried that putt all day. No one hold it, and for some reason, Tiger on those bobbly, terrible greens hold it, and it was just incredible. But that was one of the main reasons he won so many tournaments. His putting was absolutely insane. And this start of this year and last year especially, there were signs that Tiger was back to his best with his putter, and that's why he won the Tour Champs. That's why he won the Masters, I think, as well. Was his putting was it looked so good.
Yeah.
He's just, I mean, that Masters win last year with Tiger was just just one of the best things I've ever seen in sport. It was unbelievable. But yeah, Tiger for me, probably putting. I'm sure I've missed a few out. Again, Shane Lowry putting is a beautiful putter to watch. And the likes of Ricky Fowler as well, beautiful putter to watch. They're just insane, those guys. And there's probably guys, in history that I've not even mentioned, who are just fantastic putters as well. So, yeah, there's a bit of a mixture, I think, you've got there of a fantasy golfer. There's a fantasy golfer consisting of about 29 golfers there, Alex.
We've got the Fantasy Golfer Tour, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly
Whoever's performing best in the day, I'll take.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the way to do it. Yeah.
Well, no, thanks very much for your time, Josh. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all, Alex. Great to speak to you.
Great to speak to you. And thank you guys for joining me today on the Golf Chat Show Live. We will be back tomorrow, and we have another special guest on the show. I'll be announcing it tomorrow live on Instagram, so be sure to stick around. Follow me on all social media platforms. And if you've not checked out the Sky Sports Golf Podcast, which Josh is the producer of, I'll leave a link down below to go and check that out. Thanks very much, guys, and see you tomorrow. Thanks very much, Josh. Appreciate it.